Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Paige, this is Seeking Alexandria, and y'all, we're looking at a new palette from Lime Crime. We have the Venus XL2 here. This is actually a requested video from a bunch of you guys. Y'all wanted to know what the tea is because let's just dive right in. The color story in this is so different and so unique from a lot of what we're seeing right now. And you guys were like, Paige, we want to know, is it good? Does it blend? What are your thoughts? And I'm ready to sit down today and give you those thoughts. So we're first going to dive in off of the Ulta.com website, which is where I picked this up from. It is a $58 palette, and the description says, Blossom and Bloom with Lime Crime's Venus XL2 Pressed Powder Eyeshadow Palette, the earthly rebirth of the ultimate grunge eyeshadow palette. Boldly unearth 18 all-new shades in 4 rich, buttery smooth formulas, matte metallic foil and sheer iridescent. And according to the back of this palette, all of the shades in here are 0.05 ounces a piece, which if you are new to my channel, that is actually a very, very nice eyeshadow size in my opinion. A lot of the older Urban Decays, I always use them as a reference. They used to be 0.05. Now as we've kind of drifted and more eyeshadow palettes have been released, I feel like 0.05 is for me a good high-end standard for the amount of product I expect in a shadow. So that's just personal preference, but as far as the pan size, I am quite happy. And here's my thing with this palette, like from just the first go through, I did swatch it as you guys already saw, and I love this color story just because it's something different than what we're seeing. Like this is released in winter, which at first I was like, like typically winter is when we go like burgundies, we go deep, like smoky brown eyes, or we go like this deep, sultry, sexy moment, I feel like in the winter. Like when I was describing this palette to my mother, I described it as if I were a fairy that lived in a garden and I was looking for my everyday go-to palette that I could wear to like the Pixie Parade, but that I could also wear to a night out at like, you know, Clover Valley nightclub type situation. That would be this palette, which I know sounds really comical and odd, but that is how I see this because it does have so many beautiful bright pops that are like a green, and then you have like this iridescent beautiful, the actual name of the shade is Radiant, and it's a very sheer almost topper, which I think is a beautiful shade. I do plan to see if it reflects nicely, if it does catch the light as well as I'm hoping it does. But then you also have this really nice, beautiful, deep shades down here. You have like Phoenix and West, which are two really beautiful, like coppery bronzer kind of shimmer shades, which I think is great. So overall, the color story, I think it's a little odd for maybe this time of year, but for me, it is very clearly something that I think could look beautiful going into spring. And also, I'm going to say it one more time, I love that the color story for this palette is something at least different from what we are seeing released constantly all over the place. Everybody's palettes seem to look the same, and I just feel like this is a very nice wake up, a very nice like whatcha. Now as far as how these swatched, I will say they swatched very nicely. The mattes are very creamy, and in this entire palette I only believe there are 4 shades. You have this light pale pink, a light kind of foam green right here, a beautiful warm tone brown, and then this beautiful classical shade, which is a plummy brown matte shade. And overall, I love those 4 choices. Now, do I think it could be a little difficult to create multiple looks only having 4 shades? Yes. So today we're going to be looking at how do they work? Do they blend? Do they build? Because if they build up and you can kind of create other shades within those 4 shades, that'll also add a little bit more versatility. So anyways, we're going to stop talking. I'm very excited to dive into this and just to try something a little different. So let's go ahead and yeah, I'm going to zoom you guys in and we're going to get started, honey boo boo child. Yes, we are. You know it's about to be a fun video when I'm already breaking out the honey boo boo child and it's only been a couple minutes, you know what I'm saying? So I'm priming my lids with my Tarte Shape Tape here in Porcelain Beige, and I am just going to work that all over my eyelid and then give it a chance to really set down, get a little bit tacky, and then we're gonna start moving in with the look. Oh, and if you are wondering as well, I did go in and do my brows today with the new stuff from Urban Decay. Still testing it out, still seeing my thoughts, but I have the brow primer and brow gel here. This is the Brow Endowed in Rernow. Interesting. But I have that on for brow gel, and then I have the Double Down Brow in Neutral Nana, as well as their brow blade, which is the pencil and the blade, like one on each end, and this is also in Neutral Nana. So if you are wondering, that is what I did for my brows. And again, I'm just really going through getting to know that formula, and then I think I'm going to put that obviously as well as some other products in an upcoming just products I've been testing off camera, just to give you guys my thoughts on a bunch of random stuff that was recently released. So I think what I want to do is I'm going to be working with all 4 mattes in this look because I'm determined to put all 4 on. Like when I swatched them, I fell in love with all three of these. I'm like, oh, I love them. I have to see how they blend across the lid. So I am going to take all three, this light pale pink, the seafoam here, and then this beautiful warm tone brown, and I am going to start them in that order and kind of work them through the upper high crease area. And I'm starting off with my BH number 5 brush, and I'm going to take the shade in Bloom, and we're going to just start packing that right up into this area here, and then we're going to lightly fade it into that green shade and just kind of, I don't know, we're just going to play around, see what we can do. And also, if you're curious, I am trying to practice with unset lids as well, just so I have a little bit more of a knowledge base for that type of thing. So if you're wondering, like, why does she normally set her lids? I'm just working with different shadows and different techniques all the time, trying to evolve the way that I think, the way that I do my makeup. If I love something, I really want to know why I love it and why I don't, or what shadows work best which way. So anyways, I'm just working on it. It's nothing specific to this palette, although I will say there are a lot more lighter pastel-y-ish shades in here, and if you ever are working with a light pastel-y-ish shade, pastel-y, not the right word, but if you ever are working with shades like that and you really do want them to pop, a wet base is definitely the best way to go, because it'll really give you every single like ounce of pigment inside of them and just really pop them on the lid. So I do think this is a great palette to try it with, but definitely not necessary, because look at the way that that light pink shade just like built up on the lid. Oh, I love you. You are freaking stunning. And I'm also taking this nice and high into the brow bone because I don't know, it just seems like the right thing to do. Like, look at that shade. Sexy. Also, I moved you guys in just a freckle because I couldn't quite see, and I was like, you know, better move them in just to be on the safe side because I want you guys to see it as best you can. So I'm next going to grab, actually, I think I'm just going to wipe this brush here, and I'm going to use the same brush and take the Seafoam Green shade in Sage, and I'm going to park that right next to this pink shade here. And this is going to be a good test because I want to see if these get muddy together or if they blend nicely together. And we're just going to, you know, go for it. We're going to see what we can do here. That green shade is beautiful, and it actually isn't muddy at all between it and that pink shade. So I'm going to go back in with the pink, add just a little bit more, kind of blend it in between the green and the pink, just a little bit. And I will be going in with a cut crease, so a lot of this up in this region will end up gone. So I'm really just wanting to make sure that the transition between the two is nice and blended and pretty seamless, but because you are going from like a pale pink to a green, obviously there's going to be a little bit of a transition, but for the most part, I think those just blended together really effortlessly. Now, obviously we're gonna grab the last shade here, Ripe, and we are going to work that on to the outer V area and just continue on. Whoa, this shade was so powdery. Hold on a second. I literally just dunked into that one time and it was like, hold on, let me see. Will it, can you see how much powder just came off of that? That was way, like, I mean, 10 times more powdery than these other two shades. I don't know what that's all about, but girl, that was intense. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're gonna park this shade on the outer V and kind of blend up a little bit. Oh wow, that's beautiful. That shade, that shade. Girl, you are sexy. And I'm just kind of taking it up into a more winged direction and then blending it lightly in with that green shade. And so I'm just kind of taking whatever's left over on my brush and working it in between this brown and that green shade. I'm loving this like fairy grunge moment we're having. I'm loving it. I am gonna go in with this furless brush. This is the Pro 2E, and I'm gonna grab that green Sage shade, and I want to pack that on a little bit into this area because I feel like I lost it just a freckle. And I'm going in with this much more kind of flat, paddly type brush just to help me really pack the green on. There we go. That's much better. Okay, just going in one last time with that nice warm brown shade and lightly blending it. Now that we deepened up that Sage shade, I wanted to still make sure they were good and blended, which they definitely are. Oh, that's pretty. Now we're gonna go in with our Tarte Shape Tape in Porcelain Beige, and we are going, you guessed it, to cut the crease. And I'm just going in with my Morphe M421 brush, and I'm giving myself a nice wide cut crease. God, you guys, there's so many beautiful shades that I need to pack on my lids. Like, having a rough time here because I literally want to just put them all on. I can't even help myself. Because here was my thing. If I went in and I did like the pink, then the green, then this brown shade out here, I thought I could do the same kind of order with the shimmer shades. And I was like, okay, Myth for the green shade because that's beautiful. And then I want like a really nice pop, like a super bright inner eye area. So I thought, okay, we could go maybe Eve with a little bit of like this radiant shade on top of it. Why am I going through all of this? Why don't I just apply it to the lids? I don't know, because I have severe commitment issues. Maybe. Okay, so I think I have the arrangement of my shimmers figured out, but before that, I'm gonna grab my NYX Glitter Glue here. And you guys know I do this and I talk about it. I disclose it in every video that I use glitter glue. You do not have to use glitter glue like I use it unless you have super, super inhospitable lids like I do. My lids do not like shimmer. I can't wet a brush. I can't do anything like that. So I always have to go in with a very, very thin layer. Now, if that is not you, if you find that packing it on with just a spray or just over top of concealer, if that works for you, definitely continue to do you, boo. I will never tell you different. But if you have inhospitable lids like me, give this a shot. It has literally changed my world. So I feel like not many people talk about it, and that is why I do talk about it and mention it in every single video, just in case you're like me and you're like, I can't, it doesn't work. Girl, it makes a huge difference. Now, moving past that, we are gonna grab my little Flant Vasanti eyeshadow brush, and we are gonna pick up the shade Eve, which is a beautiful pink shimmer. And we're gonna start by kind of packing that in on the inner portion of the lid. Oh, that's pretty. Actually, you know what? I want to apply this with my finger. I prefer applying literally everything with my finger, but especially shimmers. I just find that it works so beautifully to really get like that first layer down so they look stunning. And then I'll grab this flat shadow brush and get nice and close up to the line. Now, directly over top of that, I want to grab the shade Radiant, which is supposed to be that really beautiful white reflecty one. And I wanted to see if I could kind of mix those two shades to make it extra like whoosh on the lids, which, oh, that's pretty. Okay, that definitely did make it pop a lot more. I feel like that Radiant shade could really transform a lot of colors in this palette. Make them really like light and bright and reflective. Because that's real pretty. Okay, now next with my finger, I'm going to grab the green shade Myth. Like, look at this. This is one of my favorite colors in the entire palette. And I'm going to stick this right on next to it and just kind of blend it all over. Ooh, oh, she's a queen. Ha, a mythical queen. Get it? Because the name is Myth. Okay, I'll stop. That color is literally giving me life. I'm just grabbing a little bit of the shade Eve, that pink shade we laid down over here, and kind of blending it back and forth between the green and the pink. Then I'm going to grab my Vasanti flat brush here and that Myth green and just run it right up along the cut crease just to keep the definition. So just on the very outer V, I want to grab a little bit of the shade Phoenix. Like, these are so beautiful. Phoenix, Forbidden, and West are just stunning. And I don't know if you can see those three swatches right there, but they are, oh my word, amazing. I've been sitting here swatching between the three trying to decide for the last 10 minutes. And finally, I was just like, girl, you got to make a choice. So I'm just going to very, very lightly apply this in kind of an upward sweeping motion and kind of tap it on just to give me a good transition. Now, just again on the very outer V here, I want to take the deep matte shade Classical and I want to run that kind of on the outer portion of the eye in an upward wing, just a little bit, just to give me a little bit of the definition back in this area, deepen it up, make my eyes look a little bit more elongated. So I'm just very lightly, oh wow, this is an intense shade, okay. Yes, she is rich, she is buying cars, oh yes. I feel like this is where we really see how beautiful it is when you layer shades. Because like that Classical shade on top of the shimmery Phoenix I just put down. Oh God, I just love the way that those two colors like mix together. Sexy beast. Yes, sexy. That Classical shade is potent, guys. Be mindful. Also, it is a powdery shade as well, just like the matte brown. So you can kind of see the kick up in pan right there. And all I did was like do like a poop poop, like 2 little taps, and it just immediately kind of all over the place. So the shade Classical and Ripe, which are the two more matte brown, deeper kind of shades right here, those are more powdery, whereas these two lighter pastel shades, I feel like they were a little bit more densely packed. And that isn't uncommon. That's why I'm pointing it out and kind of talking about it. Anytime anytime you're working with a more pastel shade, it is important to remember they are pressed very differently than a regular shade, and that's because pastel shades are inherently lighter in texture, in color, and so to get them to apply to the lids in an equal way, you do have to press them very differently. And I'm not completely familiar with like the overall, you know, phraseology of the whole situation, but I do know that it would make sense as well as I've looked into it. They are pressed differently, so just something to point out if you ever have a palette like this where it's a mixture. I'm just going to clean up my outer V, by the way. Now I'm going to grab this Morphe M456 brush, and I'm going to grab a little bit more of the green sage shade, and I want to pull that right up into this region because I do feel like my green presence was a little bit lost up in here, and I just want to get it back just a little bit, nothing too crazy. I want to take that shade Radiant and see if I can use that in my brow bone. I don't know if it'll work or not, but I want to give it a shot here. Oh, okay, so we can build up. Okay, here I was thinking you were just going to be a topper shade. Nope, you're gorgeous. Glad we had this talk. Okay. And then I'll go in with that Morphe M456 brush and just kind of use it to very, very lightly blend that whole area together. Oh wow, that actually went very well. You guys know, normally I just go in with whatever highlight I use to hit my brow bone, which I'll probably go over it just a little bit so everything matches, but I'm really impressed with how nicely that really does like radiate and pop off the skin. You know what I just realized? I still have to go do the other side. I'm like, wow, that was really fast. Well, no shit, Sherlock, you only did one side. So I'm gonna go ahead, finish this eye, finish my face, and I will be right back to give you guys some more thoughts on this palette and what I think. But so far, what do you guys think? Oh my God. Oh God, I love that. Okay, I don't know. I hope this is picking up on camera. I can't wait till I watch this footage back and I get like irate because it didn't pick it up. Oh my God, it's so pretty. Okay, I will be right back. Okay, you guys, I went ahead, I finished up the rest of my face, and the first thing I want to throw out there is that I am so sorry. This is not how this look was supposed to come together. I actually had other videos and things that I wanted to film today, but unfortunately, this eye is not allowing it. He is watering, and I'm a big proponent in telling you guys real life and when things like this happen, because you know what? Sometimes life and body just get in the way of what we have planned, and that's just the way it is. So before I can go on and do those other things, I do have to remove my makeup, and I wanted to show you guys the final look as best I could. So if during the course of me doing this outro, you see the inner portion of this eye just start to break up, girl, I am sorry. It is just the way we are living today. It's lifted my lash. Like, I don't know what is going on, but it just like waterwork style. I even had my Tom Ford, which this is my favorite freaking liner of all time, and this felt tip liner here started to bleed into my inner corner. And when that happens, I'm like, oh no, there's a problem. And then from there on, water, water, water. And it's just like, girl, she's not slowing down anytime soon. So before this dam breaks on my eye, I thought we would go ahead and run through the other products I used, my thoughts, and all that good stuff. So let's go ahead and dive into actually what I did on the lower lash line, which really wasn't that crazy. It wasn't super invasive. I just took the shade Sage and ran that on the lower lash line. Nothing too crazy. I also took the shade Classical, which is that beautiful deep kind of brown maroon color. Took that on the outer portion of the eye and then blended out underneath of both of those with the shade In Bloom, which is that really nice light pale pink shade. And then on the inner corner of the eye, I just threw some highlight. And then after that, I went ahead and threw on the You Complete Me lashes by Velour. And that was the entire eye look. I really didn't want it to be overcomplicated. I didn't want to overdo it. I didn't want some giant fancy wing. I just wanted this really nice, beautiful moment. And I have to be honest with you guys, I really love the way that this came out. I love the way these shades blended. And I also wanted to mention, while I'm on the topic, the shade In Bloom right here is actually the blush I am wearing as well. I went in there with a big old brush and I just kind of clapped it right on my cheeks, and I loved it. I thought it was a really nice way to kind of cohesively pair the inner eye and give myself like that nice little drawdown, just tie everything together. I loved it. And that's probably my favorite thing about this palette when I look at it, because originally I told you guys my biggest concern were those 4 matte shades. I'm like, oh, like, is that gonna cut it? What will I be able to do with those that is going to make it so I can use all of these other shades? Like, I feel like when you have a palette, the matte shades are kind of what hold it together. They are what make it versatile, because you can do a lot with shimmers, and I feel like I've shown that a ton on my channel, but when it comes down to being able to pair them with another color, you have to have a way that you can incorporate a shimmer. Otherwise, the whole thing just kind of falls apart. And so going in with all 4 of those matte shades, I feel like it really did show me that I would be able to use every single other color in here. And I have to be honest, at first when I looked at this, I was like, I don't know how I feel about it. But after playing with it, after doing this eye look, and after really just loving this color combination combination in general, I 100% think I love this palette, which is so crazy because I didn't think I would love it this much. But what it's reminding me of, as far as like the way I feel about it, is actually my review of the new nude palette from Huda Beauty, which I can link up here for you guys. And when I reviewed that palette, I remember one of the things I told you guys is that when you look at anything, whether it's art, makeup, whatever the case is, it has to be able to make your eye dance. It has to make you want to delve into it, to feel a certain way. And at first, when I looked at this palette, I didn't get those feelings. And now after I played with it, I feel like I could do so many things with it. I feel like I could do anything. A day look, a night look, a cut crease, a halo eye, an ethereal look. Like there's just so many things that you can play with in here to really enjoy yourself in a lighter, more whimsical way. Not in the same sense as that Huda Beauty palette where it was like so deep and dark and beautiful in like an elegant kind of way. This is like nymph elegancy and I love that. I don't know what, I really can't explain it to you. I just feel like the colors in here are unique to what we're seeing. I feel like they are so beautiful and so well rounded. And again, at first I was like, ugh, I don't think you're gonna be able to do much with it. But this shade Ripe up here, I swear it will match every shade in this palette. And how often do we see a palette that is so predominantly shimmers or glitters or what have you, that there's like this one color, this one crease color, but it doesn't work with every shade. And so when I was really going through and swatching these, I swatched these 4 matte shades against every other shimmer in here, and there's just not ever a situation where there isn't a matte to match a shimmer, if that makes sense. And I feel like there's so much value in that. And then the only other thing I wanted to touch on is the shade Forbidden, Phoenix, and West, which are the 3 I was talking about putting on the outer V. And I said, oh, they're all very similar. Well, when you swatch them, yes, they do look a little bit similar, absolutely. They're all very golden bronze, whatnot tones. But after further investigation and really looking at them, by the way, they are 3 of the softest shimmer shades in the world. But when you play with them and you swatch them, you can really see that they each have, first of all, their own undertone, their own level of brightness, which is key, but that also they each are in here for a different reason because they each match different shimmers and different matte shades throughout the palette. So again, at first glance, when I saw them, I was like, you don't need all 3 of those. But then when I go back through and reevaluate the palette, I feel like they are so key to so many different types of eye looks. Now, one other thing I wanted to touch on in this video before I close it out is the difference in the formulas that they have in here. So they mentioned in the description that they have 4 different types. They have matte, metallic, foil, and sheer iridescent. And typically when I hear something like that in a description, I'm like, oh man, like, ugh, one of these isn't gonna work, or they're not gonna blend well, they won't work well together. It'll be a whole lot of blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like, you hear sheer iridescent. For me, it's always sheer iridescent. And I always think to myself, great, there's a topper shade I'll never use. Literally, I don't know if it's just me. I don't know if it's just because I'm like, or not. I don't know what that is, but I don't know what it is. That's what I hear when I think of that shade. And so when I got this palette and I ended up using the shade Radiant, which is right here, oh my good Lord. You guys, do not underestimate that shade in this palette. Do not look at it like I did because I was blown away. That shade is not only beautiful, it is so versatile, it is so blendable. It worked beautiful with another shade, and not just any other shade. It was a freaking foil shade, you guys. The shade Eve over here is technically like a glitter foil for them. And oh my word, the way that it worked, I've just never experienced that. And maybe it's just me being too excited about the situation at hand. But I have never had a type of a sheer iridescent anything that was able to pair so well with something else, but also stand alone so beautifully. I put that in the brow bone and I packed it on, and all of a sudden this girl ain't so sheer. She is putting herself out there. She is doing her thing, chicken wing. And I'm telling you, she goes from being like a demure little princess that like, oh, I can be sparkly, I can be pretty. And then all of a sudden, whoo, bam, like she's doing her thing. She's at a nightclub. She knows how to dance. This girl knows how to Dougie. Okay, you guys, that is it. I need to stop. Thank you so much for watching. Please go down below in the comments. Let me know what you think. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Is this something you gravitate towards? Am I crazy? Am I like way off base by thinking this thing is so beautiful? You guys can let me know. And fabulous people, I beg of you, when you are down there leaving me these comments, please scuttle on up to the description box and follow me on Instagram and on Twitter. And I have a couple reasons why. So first of all, my Instagram photo from this video, I had planned it to be totally different, and so now I'm a little bit sad. So I need you to just go like it for moral support so I feel better about myself. That's just like a selfish thing, number one. Number two, I would love to someday be able to get verified on Instagram, and evidently you have to have like, I don't know, 17 billion followers to make that happen. I'm dramatic, but seriously, I don't know how to get freaking verified. I don't know how many you have to have, but I know it's more than the over 1,100 I have, which I'm very proud of my 1,100, but but Instagram, they don't think so. So if you could please be so kind, if you have Instagram and you would love to follow me, please go ahead and do that down below because I would greatly appreciate it. And that way someday I can get verified. So I can actually, in my Insta stories, I can link things. That's the only reason I want to be verified. Like, if I had to pick one thing, I want to be verified on Instagram just so I can link things in the swipe up, you know, like, oh, Insta stories, haha, swipe up to get this sweater. So I can link things. You don't know how frustrating that is. I always want to tell you guys where things are and I can't because I can't link it. So anyways, mini rant's over. If you guys could please do that for me. If you're like, hey, I have Instagram, I like her, I could make that happen. I would really, really appreciate it because y'all, I need to be verified someday in the next 10 years. And I feel like Instagram is against me. So please help me if you can. And also, if you have not yet subscribed, please be sure to do that and turn on your notifications because, guys, I put up new videos 5 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. They go up bright and early between 6 and 7 a.m. my time here in Northern Michigan, which is way early if you're like on the coast. Oh, girl. If you're out in California, what is that, like between 3 and 4 a.m.? Like, you will have something to watch. You're getting up early. You want to drink your coffee and hang out with me and watch an eye look or just have fun, be crazy, learn about hair, makeup, new releases, old releases. I don't care what it is. I put up new videos 5 days a week and I love it. I love doing that kind of stuff. I love being able to be here and hang out with you guys bright and early in the morning and just, I don't know, just hang out and like have that time to kind of wake up, relax, unwind, and just have a little time for ourselves. That's my favorite time to do it. And I've heard from so many of you guys that you love early uploads as well. So if that's something you're into, definitely subscribe because I love being here and hanging out with you. So that is it, you guys. Again, thank you so much for watching. Please do not forget to have a great day, night, weekend, whatever it is when you're watching this. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Whew. So I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I just ate 2 pieces of cold pizza right out of the fridge and it was probably one of the best, most spiritual awakening moments of my life because cold pizza is just like how do you live without it? I don't know. Oh, so good. It's like lingering on my palate. I love you. Oh, pizza. Pizza. Okay, literally look at this lash. I'm not even taking it off. It is this far off. All by itself. Like, this lash is not even attached. Hello. This one was actually attached for at least 40%, so that's cool. Cause see, they tag team each other. They're like, oh hey, we're not gonna stay on. Okay, ready, go. And then they both just like fall off. It's great. And then a very deep, like burgundy. I don't know what shade you thought you were saying. So I'm definitely envisioning something beautiful. Okay, that is the dumbest sentence. Like, no, actually, I want to create something really ugly. And I have to say, first of all, I love the way that this whole thing turned out. Now, I'm also going to end that. No, okay. And then after that, I just went ahead and added these velour lashes in the shade. No, not in the same sense as that Huda Beauty palette. You guys, do not underestimate. What? Doesn't she kind of look like a garden fairy? Like, oh, look at me, I'm sultry, I'm sexy. And she even has a freaking nose ring. Like, y'all see that? This girl's going places. Like, she's got a party, but she's also sweet and innocent, but like fun and flirty. Hello. Yes.